Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
What's up, everybody? This is your co-host, Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average podcast-producing badass.
I'm John Thomas. Some would say that I go a little too far with my love of all things horror, paranormal, and meta, but I say, talk nerdy to me, and I'm all yours.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and all of my metapals? Are you ready for an out-of-body experience? In today's episode, we'll be going to infinity and beyond, discussing astral projection and more. Joining us is super special returning guest, Chasing the Milk, Tan. Welcome back, Tan.
Hi, how's it going?
That sounded dirty. Are you ready for an out-of-body experience? Or in your body?
I sure the fuck am. Let's do it.
That's going to be my new pickup line. Are you ready for an in your body experience? Wait, but I can't deliver that. Well, whatever. I'm going to work on it. We're going to tweak it.
Yeah, tweak it. Anyway, welcome, Tan. Welcome back to the Nut House.
Did you miss
I'm so happy to be here. Absolutely. I'm ready for this in your body experience.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Good
back
times.
to the topic. Now, last time we talked to you, we had you on our full moon specials. Really excited to have you back, considering, Lunar Goddess, I'm obsessed with the moon, and you stream the moon. So, well, amongst other things, but Luna's the main focus. How's that going? Are we still live streaming Lady Luna?
Yeah. I try to stream whenever I can. It's really just kind of depends on the weather. But to be super transparent, I'm also in one of those like social media hiatus funks where even though it's my full-time job to be a content creator, I'm doing everything I can to avoid it right now, to just kind of take care of myself. But I did one yesterday and it was awesome. There's only about 100 people in there, which is small than what I usually get, but it's nice because I can actually have conversations with people. But yeah, I still love live streaming the moon and planets and meteor showers whenever we have them.
I love that you address that, though, in terms of, yes, you're a content creator, but you're taking time for self-care and, focusing on yourself. You're not pushing past anything. And I like that. I think it's right now, self-awareness and needing that, knowing when to disconnect and knowing when to focus on yourself is super important. So yay for positive messages.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because I used to not want to talk about it. I was like, this is like, dude, I can't talk about this. I got people listening to me and stuff. Like, I have to be on my A game at all times. And I remember mentioning it once, and then someone actually reached out and sent me a long message on how thankful they were that I said it. And I'm like, oh, there's probably a lot of other people that are dealing with the same thing. So absolutely, there's no shame in it. And yeah, it's just it's part of being a human.
Yeah. I think sometimes we forget that too. That like the grace that we give others to take care of themselves, we forget, hey, we're allowed to have that too for ourselves. So we're human too.
Yep.
Well, you're human.
You're an alien?
Yeah. Maybe.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Maybe I'm some other kind of creature. Ooh, can I be a succubus? No, I'm kidding.
You can be whatever you want to be, Ashley. It's your world. We're just living in it.
I mean, perception is reality. And speaking of perception, segue, let's talk about astral projection, because we kind of hinted at that last episode we had you on. You had brought it up, and of course I've been like waiting ever since, like, tell me more. What is it that you know about astral projection?
So disclaimer, not a lot. I got close to doing it because I was really interested in lucid dreaming. I've I've had lucid dreams twice, and they were both by accident. I did not have my intention to have one, but I remember after my first one, and this is so ironic that we're talking about this because I was mentioning this in my live stream yesterday, and this is a story I just haven't. It's just been sitting in the dust for many years, but I had a dream, and I remember at one point I was running away from someone, and in my dream I said, "Wait a second, hey, I'm dreaming. None of this is real. I can do whatever I want." And at that instant, literally at that instant, that I had the realization that I was dreaming, it was like a light switch, and I was like, "Oh, I'm in control now," and I wanted to fly, and I literally just aimed up. I just looked up, and I just yeeted into the sky. And it's crazy because I know I'll never experience this in real life, but I think I know what it would feel like if I were to somehow have the ability to fly. So fast forward after that, I was like, I want to have these every freaking night, you know. And I got really into learning how to lucid dream, and then I learned about astral projecting, and I was like, wait a second, I'm like, this is a whole other plane, like it's a whole another dimension. So I don't know too much about it. I will say my only experience with astral projecting or close to it was whenever I was trying to do it. There are different techniques that I know of, and to my knowledge, one of them was it's like a rope technique where basically you envision some kind of rope, and you literally try to like envision yourself pulling yourself out of your body. And when I was doing that, I remember at one point my body shutting down. And I believe this is what sleep paralysis is. I could be wrong, but I remember I felt my body shutting down. I think it started from my feet and it worked its way up. And I just remember things got very vibrating. Like if someone strapped me down and started shaking at me, I felt that happening, and it got so intense, and I got excited that I woke up. Like I snapped out of it. I just remember thinking, like, "Oh my god, it's happening! I'm about to do it! I'm about to astral project!" And then I got so excited, and it just went away, and I woke up, and I was like, "No!" And I've never been able to, have that again.
So when you were trying the astral projection, the rope method, were you like half asleep? Were you meditating? Were you already asleep and then you were kind of lucid dreaming trying to do it? Like at what stage were you attempting that?
That's a good question. I think I was literally just trying my hardest to not fall asleep. So I had my eyes closed, but consciously I was keeping my mind busy on this rope. I kept on telling myself, like, do not fall asleep, just grab the dang rope. Just grab the rope. Just grab the rope. And it was just that was the only thing. So I think that kept me awake. As Was I actually awake when that was happening? I don't It's hard to say. I don't know, but I think I was awake. I felt like I was pretty aware of what I was doing and what was going on.
I mean, sensation that you described, that definitely sounds like sleep paralysis to me. Especially like the vibrating, because that's really hard to describe to someone who hasn't felt that, like when your body feels like it's like humming almost. That to me is typically what I experience when I have sleep paralysis. I've had that since I was a kid. So that does sound a bit like that to me, but there is, just because it might be sleep paralysis doesn't mean that that wasn't also astral projection of some sort, because there is a school of thought that sleep paralysis is the consciousness disconnecting from the body. So
Mm,
maybe that's a stage of like capability, of possibility to be able to astral project.
that's what I've heard. I heard that's kind of like it's like one of the obstacles that you kind of have to, in a sense, endure to get to the next level. It's like you have the vibrating thing happening, and it's probably really scary. But from what I remember, I think you basically just push through it. But if you guys have ever had sleep paralysis, you'll know that you don't want to push through it, and you just want to wake up and take a huge breath of air as soon as you can.
Because it's what you see or experience or hear or feel when you're in that moment. It's not like you're just chilling. Like there's usually stuff that presents while you're in sleep paralysis that makes it scary, where it's like, I gotta get the fuck
Mm,
out of here. Um Usually, at least for me. Now, what's interesting is that, let's say sleep paralysis is actually like a stage of astral projection, maybe like an early stage where there is that disconnect, that unzippering that's going on. And we are, you know, starting to disconnect from the physical plane. Wouldn't it be interesting then that when people say they see things or hear things during sleep paralysis, if because we're unzipping from that physical, we are now seeing what's always been there in those layered dimensions. So we're hearing
Mm.
it all, we're seeing it all. And because we're not typically meant to in our everyday world experience that, it terrifies us. But like, what if? What if those are the other dimensions starting to kind of reveal? And that's what makes it terrifying. I don't know.
That makes sense to me. I mean, because reading into it when I was younger, they did say there was a lot of scary stuff out there. They didn't go into detail what they looked like or anything. They just said there was a lot of scary stuff out there, and be careful, be aware, and keep yourself safe. And it's funny that Tan mentioned the rope thing because that's one of the first things that I read about too. Was picture the rope and you climbing out, and then I'm sitting there thinking, in gym class I can never climb the fucking rope anyway. How am I going to climb out of my body? So, but yeah,
It's interesting we talk about the ropes because I keep you said the rope and I am it's gonna get a little weird. Are we ready to get a little weird? So there's this
always.
idea that when we have energetic connections with people, that there are like these little gold ropes that connect us to those individuals. So when we hear terms about, cutting the cord, that's what they're talking about, those energetic ropes or cords that connect us to other people. So there are ideas out there that when we are sleeping, we can use our energetic cords or connections to astral project to a specific place. So if for example, Tan, like let's say you and I had a golden cord, um, because I don't want to just float off into the other, because I don't know what's out there. If I wanted to start my astral projection journey, I could focus on one individual instead and say, okay, I am going to focus on my golden cord with Tan. And when I go to bed, I'm going to focus on that cord and I'm going to climb that cord.
Mm.
When you were saying that, that reminded me of that, where people talk about, pulling on the cord to get to the other person in that partial dream state. And so it's like almost like a guided astral projection so that you're kind of tethered in a sense where you're not going to float off somewhere. Well, not that you can float off. I don't know. I've never done it, but it's interesting because it's like maybe there is something, all these concepts of following cords and ropes and these ideas that it's in the state you can travel elsewhere, that makes me wonder if there is, in fact, something there that we're capable of doing that maybe we're just too afraid of accomplishing. I don't know. Now I'm rambling.
I I think there's some truth to it. There are there's an abundance of people with very similar stories about them astral projecting, and they all share. You know what I mean? Like whenever there's a good group of people saying one thing, it's like it's kind of hard to dismiss it. Um, I think to me it all goes back to how crazy our brain is, and like that could be a whole other topic. But I believe in that stuff, and honestly, after just us talking for 10, 15 minutes, I really want to revisit the astral projecting side of things, and maybe you guys could do it too. One thing that John mentioned earlier, and this was the main thing that kind of deterred me from continuing, was because I didn't read enough about the negative experiences that people have about not having protection. I've heard countless stories about people who are, I guess, well versed in projecting, where they could basically summon like a beam of light or a shield around them that protects them from negative entities. And I've also heard stories about someone like me who's just really curious and wanted to try it, finding a negative entity and it being latched onto him, and still in a way being cursed to this day. So, one could argue that maybe it was just like a horrible coincidence. But I mean, I don't think we know anything at all. As much as I think we know shit, but we don't. So I don't know. I'm excited. I think I want to try that.
Well, safety is sexy. So always figure out how to be safe in whatever you're adventuring into.
For
We
sure.
had a guest, I believe it was Lady Luna, haha, irony, uh, who talked to us about astral projection and spirit quests and those kind of things, and how you should have a tether for
Mm,
that safety. Tether in a person or a guide, someone who you can be kind of connected to that can guide you back through it. And how that translates with astral projection, I don't know how that literally is. What that looks like is someone sitting next to your bed. I don't know. But we have had other guests say, well, you're automatically connected to your body by a cord of another sort. So even if you were in the most unfortunate experience, you'd still snap back into your body. So I don't
mm,
I don't know. Like you said, there's so much we don't know. And honestly, being untethered from my body to that extent, floating who knows where in a world of demons, gods, and entities
jeez.
and more, kind of terrifies me. Like we're just floating along. I've never heard of people like surrounding themselves with a beam of lights. That sounds cool. Like learning how to do that and taking it with you, I probably would feel more confident attempting it, like knowing I can do that.
Right. I mean, that's
Just
something
pull
I
out a
do
sword.
with, yeah, that's just something I do with paranormal investigating when I try to protect myself is I envision the light. And that's
Oh,
one of the
dude.
things that I
Yeah.
taught my daughter when she was little, when we were investigating. I was like, if you get scared, just imagine this bright white light or whatever color coming out of the ground and surrounding you like a little bubble, and nothing can
I
get
love
you.
that.
So yeah, that's kind of what I did with that.
That's awesome.
What if versus, because I feel like oftentimes I get hung up on the light. Like imagine a light flowing from you, surrounding you, circling you, whatever, sorting out lightsaber
Right.
Yeah.
style. What if instead, for some people, it's not so much envision the shield of light, but what if we just are the light? Like in those moments, realizing like you are pure light, and
Mm,
maybe believing that enough makes you yourself a light shield. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I
I
I, I
agree.
think so.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, whatever works for the individual. I mean, yeah.
We are the light.
Yeah, I agree. When I was researching the lucid dreaming stuff, uh, this guy had night terrors all the time, and he felt like he basically came to the conclusion that the only way he was going to get rid of these night terrors was if he faced his fears. So he literally just got really good at lucid dreaming and do these. Imagine becoming lucid and then experiencing a nightmare. It's got to be like the most terrifying thing. But exactly like you said, he's like, wait a second. He's like I'm in control here, like not this guy. And it literally, like, I can't remember what it was. I think he turned this crazy monster into like a beautiful butterfly with rainbows, like it just in an instant.
I love that so
Eh,
much.
But I think when it comes down to it, like, people always say your thoughts are your reality. Um, I think that could be said for other dimensions or other planes, whatever you would call it. So absolutely, I think it's plausible to say that one can be in control of what's going on to an extent, maybe. I mean, who knows?
It's like super labyrinth reference. You have no power over me.
Yeah, basically. I love that though.
That's two labyrinth references in 2 episodes
I
there.
feel like this is going to be the theme of this
Yeah.
The
season. Like
labyrinth.
something about just you have no power over me.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I feel like lucid dreaming has always been a necessity in terms of it only occurs when I need it to occur, and versus when I want it to. So it's rare when I can lucid dream just for fun. Like,
What do you
ooh,
mean when you need it? Sorry, I'm just
like
curious.
if a dream is too overwhelming, it's too intense, it's too scary, it's too
Mm,
sad, it's too much, then I will tell myself in my dream, this isn't real, change it. And or sometimes I will just automatically just jump it out to something else. So it's never been just like, you know what, I'm dreaming, let's have fun. Which would be cool, like to be able to mind shift, right? Like to versus doing it out of fear, doing it out of a light, like out of something positive. That would be interesting to try.
Yeah.
But the more I lucid dream, the more I have sleep paralysis. So obviously there's a connection there. So I'm not a fan of sleep paralysis. It's not fun and it takes a toll on me. So I think I definitely lucid dream less now, but I think that's just because I'm like, I don't want to sleep paralysis.
Does it happen often?
For me, yeah.
Like, I'm curious, what's often?
If I allow myself to lucid dream more or just have that kind of disruption with my sleep cycles, I could probably have sleep paralysis like once a week, if not more.
Oh my God. I've only had it happen twice. And both times I woke up sweating and I thought I was going to. Can we talk about sleep paralysis?
Yeah, let's
for a
do
bit?
it. Let's
This is
talk
so
about it.
interesting. I
Let's
don't
follow
know
the
much.
conversation.
Yeah, I don't know much about it and, why we have it. But you mentioned earlier the experiences people have, the different experiences. And for me, I had two different experiences, but they revolved around some kind of entity. The first one was this basically this dark ass void on top of my chest. And I was like, I think I'm about to die. There's a demon on top of me and I can't breathe. And my chest is getting extremely heavy. It felt like there's an anvil on my chest. And whenever I woke up, it was because I ran out of air. And I just remember, looking around like, what the hell is that? Second time, it wasn't as heavy as the first, but again, there is like this entity. There wasn't really a figure. It wasn't like a humanoid figure or just anything that I could say, oh, that's what that looked like. It was like the feeling of an entity. I don't know if I saw it, but it was just like this. I don't know. It's just like this black void that I can just feel its presence. So that was my experience. I'm really interested in hearing about yours.
John laughs. I have a lot. I've had all kinds. I mean, I've heard like the more mellow, I will say the most mellow, calm, if you can use calm with sleep paralysis, that I've had is just hearing like the world talking all at once, which is very uncomfortable. It started when I half woke up. It started as like a very low sound, but
Audible?
but the louder it got,
Wow.
the more, because like at first it was very low, and I'm like, what is that? And then the louder it got unbearably loud. Then it sounded like, for example, the experience felt like when you turn your radio on low and then you just start slowly turning up the volume until it gets as loud as it can possibly get. And that's what I was experiencing. But once I was able to, it got to that level where I could really make out what I was hearing. It was like millions of voices talking all at once, like having conversations. And
Oh my God.
but again, it's unbearable because it got so loud. And I'm just like, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. This sucks. My head's going to explode.
There's nothing you can do about it. You can't move, right? You just got to sit there and
I've learned to
take
breathe it
it.
out, literally breathe it out. So if I focus on my breathing, really like focus on it, I can wake myself up just by breathing harder, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, deeper. Then I can usually like snap out of it. But when things manifest that are terrifying, it's really hard to focus on like, I
Yeah.
gotta breathe, I gotta take deeper breaths. Like that just it starts to battle itself, because I've had those where like I open my eyes and there's something standing there and it's reaching out to touch me, and I'm like, no, don't fucking touch me, I
Really?
can't move.
Do you actually see like a figure? Like
Sometimes,
you can
yeah.
see a hand
Oh
reaching
yeah.
out?
Yeah.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's I've seen things, I've heard things, I've, like you said, I've felt things where like you don't see it, but you can feel its presence and it's big, and your mind's eye can actually create an image associated with that energy.
Mm.
I've also had the experience where like something did feel like it came up off of the bed next to me, floated over me, and almost it felt like it was trying to push me down into the bed, like almost back into my dream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'd been having a bad dream. So for me, I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to sleep. No, don't make me go back to sleep. But yeah, it's been all over the board in terms of experiences. Nowadays, I don't have it as much, but I think also I've become very cautious about how I sleep, trying to keep my brain and my body connected. So I because I don't like it. I don't enjoy sleep paralysis. It ends up giving me a gnarly headache the next day. So just trying to force myself to wake up really messes with my head. And literally I just have a headache the next day. So I try
Mhm.
not to provoke it if I can. Nowadays, if it happens, it's usually because I'm sick. So something with the body. As I'm sick, I have sleep paralysis.
That's interesting. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that we basically have sleep paralysis every time we sleep, but we only have the sleep paralysis encounter is because we somehow were awake or conscious. Do you know about that? Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, technically, our body does go into a state of immobility, and that's so we don't have a dream where we're walking and falling off of things, and that actually happens. So, our body does paralyze itself to an extent
Mm.
when we're asleep so that we don't literally play out our dreams. And sometimes that cycle gets messed up. Like, there's a progression from when we fall asleep, your body should fall asleep along with your mind, like on the same track. But sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Either our body falls asleep first or our mind wakes up first. There is a disconnect that occurs. Now, there is an idea that what presents itself is what the question is.
Mm.
Some people say it's your mind dreaming. It's your subconscious playing out in the world in front of you. It's just scary because we can't move. And others are like, no, you're halfway between the sleep state and the awake state. And that is exactly where you need to be when you're astral projecting, when you're sleep sh- tribe questing. I don't even know. There's like so many things that people feel like when you're in that middle state, you can do, which is hard to get there.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, John Thomas, talk, damn it.
I mean, it's all interesting to me. I don't know that I've ever experienced sleep paralysis, but the closest that I've come to experiencing something like that was when I was starting off doing the paranormal investigating. I was working with somebody who studied demonology. She wanted me to do the same thing, and she's like, "Here's these books, check them out." She's like, "But before you do that, make sure that you've got your faith in whatever religion, whatever, sorted out, and it's strong enough to where these things won't fuck with you." And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Didn't really listen to her. Started looking at some of the books, and then I was having crazy dreams and just all kinds of weird stuff. But one night, I was laying in bed and I had just a sheet because it was hot as hell. It was summer. And I don't know if I was awake or if I was asleep, but I felt the sheet pull tight on my body like something was there holding me there. I woke up and freaked out, and it let go, it released, and it was done. And that's when I stopped looking at the books. I said, "Here you go, I'm done." I was like, "No thanks."
Wow.
And nothing else had happened. But like, that was the closest I've gotten. Freaky.
Yeah. I wonder if it's so complex to me. Whenever just a second ago, whenever actually you were talking about like our bodies knowing to shut itself down. Like if that's by design, then I mean one could say that maybe sleep paralysis or maybe there is a whole other thing that we just truly are just not really tapped in, and it's something that we could learn to do.
Maybe we're just not there yet in the evolution. Like we've had similar biological foundations since, way back in the day, caveman days, Neanderthal days. There's like we had a brain, we had a, body, we had bones, we had all of these tools. But over time we have unlocked more and more of what was already there, right? So like more
Mm,
of our brain to be able to calculate things, to build things, to create things, to express like language, stuff like that. We had the foundation, it was all there. That didn't change. It's not like we grew a brain, like we had one. We're just unlocking more of it. So it is possible, and it's probably highly likely that that journey is just going to keep continuing and more is going to unlock. Why or how? I don't know, because that's not where we're at right now. But I guarantee you there's someone out there, because it starts somewhere. There's someone out there that's already unlocking that. And maybe this is part of that. You know, the sleep paralysis is a segment of that where we're afraid of it now because it's not our everyday world. But more and more people talk about it and are exploring it. And maybe that's part of that unlocking. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's just like the people that can do it now and that, are really good at astral projecting, maybe they're part of the whatever percent it is that have kind of evolved a little bit more and they can do it better than all of us. We all just have to catch up.
yeah. That man, that makes me really want to start this journey of, I guess,
Peyote? I'm just kidding.
yeah, ayahuasca.
Yes, I want to do that. I
I
mean,
do too.
safely, but
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I've got a bunch of woo woo friends, and everyone needs a woo woo friend because they're like my go to people just for anything holistic or just really they're a different breed of people, different breed of people.
they're the evolving ones.
Exactly, and I think that's why they kind of are all in a way similar because I think they see the big picture or at least are able to see a bigger picture than us normies, you know?
And evolution. We're going to get nerdy for a moment. We're going to get science for a moment. Not that this isn't science. Evolution isn't linear. Like we look at the different instances of the hominid and how they all kind of existed at the same time, but then some continued on, some kind of dissipated out, the different variants. We sound like X-Men. And so for me, we've already seen that this journey has occurred in some people back in the day. Native American spirituality, they were already taking these quests, they were already taking advantage of the sleep world and that middle stage that led to meditation and spirit walking, or all the different terms that are used for it. And we also saw that with the Toltec, right? The Toltec people also very much use their dreams to manifest real world physical changes. So it's like it's
Wow.
already there or has been, but we get in our own way. We've gotten in our own way. We've kind of utilized technology to tamper that down. So maybe
Mm,
our next step of evolution is to marry those two together, taking that spirituality, taking that technology to find a way to really unlock it, to make it more accessible and to understand it better. I don't know. My brain's doing 50 million things right now.
yeah, I agree. I think we've just lost touch with our true roots and all of the. And I don't know. I don't know if I could blame like technology. I guess in a sense, maybe it is to blame. Like that's why we're getting so smarter that we're forgetting how to do simple things. Like I have a trash can that is motion censored and it also like it empties itself. Like you know what I mean? Like how lazy can you get to just use your little foot pedal and throw it in there? So I guess in a sense like maybe we're getting so advanced and we're doing so many things that are so helpful, we kind of just forget what it's like to just throw a bag in the trash can.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I blame technology. I just think it became a distraction because, like, if I'm on this, I take all my free time to scroll and be like 3 hours on my phone, then I'm not sitting still. And to astral project, to lucid dream, to do all of these things, it takes time by yourself. And I think we've forgotten how to do that. A lot of us, we've forgotten how to just sit and be. And,
Yeah.
you hear people say, I don't know how to meditate. And really, it's like, meditate isn't an action, it's a state of being. But in order to achieve that state of being, we have to, we have to stop. we have
But
to
I don't know how to meditate.
we have to turn the mental focus inside, which is really uncomfortable for a lot of us, including myself.
Amen.
Like, I don't like to look
Yes.
inside. Like, what? No, I'm going to look outside and I'm going to scroll on TikTok. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely, like I said, there's got to be a way to have them all work together.
Mhm.
Skynet is going to be the death of us all.
Oh man, I could see it. I could totally envision something like Skynet happening.
It's a whole T2 situation. Blah.
You mean it hasn't already?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
We do have a bunch of zombies running around. I mean, honestly, with everybody staring at their phones constantly, freaking never looking up.
Brains.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm trying to picture how weird it would be if you could like travel back in time and then you just pluck like the average kid and then just drop them in there and then everyone kind of observing that person just walking around, like even on the streets, like when I watch people like walk down the road or something, like they're not even looking at where they're walking, they're kind of like looking at their phone. And if you think at it from like an outsider's perspective, it is interesting just to watch someone stare at their phone constantly, nonstop. My mother is a big TikToker now. She is one who always refused like all social media, and she was someone who I would never in a million years think would be addicted to a social media app. But if there was no TikTok, I don't think she would make it. Honestly, she consumes TikTok so much. She doesn't watch anything else. It's just nothing but TikTok. So crazy.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword because I feel like a lot of us who have been outcasts or misfits or lonely or isolated or alienated or any word you want to use, social media has been a saving grace because you can connect to people like you. And so if you are walking on the street or you are by yourself, it doesn't feel so lonely because you've got people to talk to. There are ways to connect to people where you're not trying to find your tribe physically, because sometimes that's really fucking hard.
Right.
You can find your tribe virtually. And sometimes that
Mm.
is what you need because it's like, hey, I'm not okay. I'm not in a good space, but I have nobody in my actual physical world I can talk to. But you know what I can do? I can direct message someone I've never met, but I feel really close to on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. And it sounds crazy, but it's like metaphysically, it makes sense. We're bypassing the physical expectations and really leaning into these energetic connections, even if it is through technology, like it's happening.
Right.
Mm.
And it's not as weird as it used to be. Like, I mean, it wasn't really weird to begin with, but like people thought it was weird and stuff. But it's not as weird anymore. It's more common. And as an introvert, it definitely helps me out. So I can't really complain too much. So
I want to do that in the astral world. Like, what if there's something like what social media gives us? Could that could that happen in the astral realm? You know, technically, couldn't you find other people, other entities, and connect with them as well?
In
oh, I'm sure
theory.
you could.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like, if we're going to get philosophical here, I mean, technology is it's connecting our consciousnesses. We're stripping off. Now, granted, there is some darkness that comes with that, but that's also part of the consciousness, right? That is stripping back a lot of the pretense that we put out in the physical world. Even if someone's lying and catfishing and doing all that stuff, that's internally a part of who they are. Like that darkness, that
Yeah.
manipulation, that would manifest anywhere. And when you strip out and you're just connected to the consciousness. So, I mean, I feel like to an extent, technology has helped that way, kind of really build the collective consciousness, which we didn't have before. It's connecting all of that in a digital way. I like, though, this idea that maybe there is a way to utilize that to then stream into the unconsciousness when we're asleep. how does that apply to other dimensions, other worlds, if those exist? Like how can we then do that there as well?
Yeah.
We talked about, like, in recent episodes, aliens, or like not recent. In past episodes, we've talked about like how we try to communicate with aliens and send out signals and send out this and that. And that's like, yeah, we're trying to communicate with them on our level of technology, which may not be
Mm,
where they're at. Maybe the connection actually is, maybe they're trying to connect in the astral world. Maybe they're trying to connect in a different way, and we just haven't figured out where those pathways are actually existing.
that's so true. Imagine spending all our time and resources trying to connect with them through radio waves when in reality, like, that's not even part of their vocabulary, or they're just so not even advanced. They're just it's just two totally different things. So absolutely,
They're
that's
like, go to sleep,
great.
motherfucker. I'm trying to talk to you there.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Every time we have these sleep paralysis demons, it's actually them trying to like that's like the first step to communicating with them. You gotta get past this fear test, and if you do, then you can handle the real stuff.
And that would make sense.
It's like it's sitting on your chest, like, get out of my world.
Oh no.
I'm seriously gonna start trying. I think I'm gonna start with the lucid dreaming first because, from what I hear, that's such a much safer approach to having fun in a different like state. Astral projecting, I think I would probably just do a little more research, so I'm not jumping in there without my sword and shield. You know, I don't want anything latching onto me. But what if I could go to space? How cool would that be? I could tell people about it in my live streams. I'm like, hey, I have actually been out to space, and
You
here's
might
what it
lose
looks
some
like.
followers.
Yeah, like this guy's crazy.
He's lost his damn mind. He stared at the moon for far too long.
They were like pictures or it didn't happen. Just joking.
Yeah.
It's like, take me with you. Yeah, that would be cool. I feel like you should listen to our Toltec shamanism episode. I think that might resonate with you because that is about like the
Toltec?
Toltec, Toltec, Toltec.
Okay.
They really believe in the, like, it's a heavy emphasis on dreaming and using dreaming to heal, to manifest, and to basically travel. So I really feel like that would be along your vibe. So
Yeah, that sounds cool. For sure.
I need to stop being afraid of lucid dreaming, even if it comes with sleep paralysis. We can do this.
What is it? Is it scary or is it like overwhelming or what do you feel whenever sleep paralysis happens?
Well, I don't know what's going to surface, and sometimes it is absolutely terrifying. It has the physical, real world impact of the headaches.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, of me trying to break it. Maybe if I don't resist it and I lead into it, maybe that would be
Mm.
a different byproduct. So I don't know. I've never tried that. I've never tried to be like, fuck it, touch me. Let's do this.
Have you are you are you conscious? Like can you whenever this is happening, are you able to be like this happens like this is like the 70th time it's happened. It's going to be over and I just got to not panic.
I guess depending on what I experience or see, like I know it's sleep paralysis. I know I try to tell myself that's a manifestation of my brain so that I'm not scared. But
When it's happening, it's happening.
yep,
Mm.
like I am aware this is sleep paralysis. I just scary as shit. It's like
Yeah.
hallucinating. So for example, if you've ever been on a hallucinogenic, that I was given a narcotic in the hospital, and one of the side effects was that it could cause you to hallucinate. And I was laying there, and probably about an hour after it kicked in, it literally looked like there was like blood bleeding from the ceiling and like
Wow.
just full terrifying. And I knew, like, they warned me, you might have, hallucinations, you might have that side effect, just it's okay, it's not real. And so I knew that, but it doesn't stop that from being completely terrifying.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. That's pretty gnarly.
It took a while for that to like the hallucination, and my heart rate was just like doo 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 doo. Like I know it's not real, but this is scary as shit.
Yeah. Man, that's really interesting.
So I went back and I was looking for the Toltec episode. It's episode 42 of season 3.
Episode 42.
Yeah,
She's amazing.
I'm going to check it out.
absolutely.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Yeah, she's pretty darn amazing. So, lucid dreaming is like a constant thing. I feel like that comes up within our podcast when we talk about it. It doesn't matter what we talk about. I feel like it always comes up, and
It's a sign.
it is a sign. And I'm just wondering, what can we do with it? What can we do with lucid dreaming? What is it we have our fingertips on, but we're not quite getting the message?
I'm going to make a pact right now. From now until the next time I talk to you guys, I will document my lucid dreaming experience. This is something I truly have been really interested in a while, and I feel like this is just kind of the sign. This is a clear sign that I should start trying again. So I'm going to finish that book that I bought, and I will share my journey of lucid dreaming.
What book did you buy?
It was a lucid dreaming book. I think it was just called like lucid dreaming or something, or how to lucid dream. But it is very rare for me just to go to an actual bookstore and purchase a physical book. But I was getting coffee, and I was like in the woo woo section. I like hanging out there just to seeing how woo woo things can get.
You're drawn to the woo woo.
I am. I don't know what it is about woo woo, but I like it. But I saw this lucid dreaming book, and I'm like, hey, I remember when I had my 2 lucid dreams. Maybe I can learn how to do it every single night. And I immediately bought it, started it, and just made excuses to not finish it. So thank you guys so much.
So we're
I'm
going to
excited.
finish the book.
We're going to finish the book and hopefully become pro at it.
I would love for you to send me the book.
Yeah.
Title. That would be
Absolutely.
Or author. Because I will read it with you.
Do it. You can get past your sleep paralysis. Or you can just learn more about it. Maybe, I guess let me ask you this. Are there any cases of people having sleep paralysis where it isn't demonic, or it isn't a negative, it doesn't have that negative, I guess, tone?
I don't know, but I would think not, just because it is disarming.
worse.
Even if you don't see or hear anything, like it is disarming to wake up and you can't move your entire body. Like that's disarming. It makes you feel incredibly vulnerable. So I imagine that in and of itself is just
True.
not positive. But
No one's gonna wake him like, oh, nice, I can't move, and there's a black shadowy void pressing up on my chest. Nice.
wonderful.
This is kinda
Hi,
hot.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Even if I woke up and saw like a bunch of people dancing in a circle and cotton candy and a unicorn, like I'd still be like, oh my God, I can't move.
How'd you get in my house? How'd you get in my room? What the hell?
Give me cotton candy.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me.
Feed me.
True.
I kind of wonder if Tan is an alien. He's just like sent to test us and inspect, investigate. Are you an alien, Tan? Blink once.
Blink once. But the other way.
He blinked.
No comment. But yes.
But yes.
But yes. Hey, he's the coolest alien I know.
Cool.
I like the idea of there being aliens on Earth, disguised as us. Like the ultimate big brain alien who is just like Elon Musk. I think he is an alien. And
yeah, absolutely.
And real quick, whenever I say alien, I'm not necessarily referring to the big-headed gray aliens with the big black eyes. I believe that there is some kind of design in that being. Like whatever, Elon has to be some kind of gift. I think, okay, this is crazy, but I basically think that if, let's say we're in the game, we're in a simulation, and it's like a big game of the Sims, right? And there's our designer or creator or whatever you want to believe in, is somewhere out there, and he's like, all right, in order for us to get from point A to point C, there has to be some smart people. Like we can't just have normies. So I'm gonna create the things that would lead up to Elon Musk being Elon Musk, or Bezos or Gates or certain people like that, right? Tons of people. I don't think they just happen. But who knows? Like maybe it is all just coincidence, and in a mixed bag full of people, it's only a matter of time till we get some really, really smart people, or uh, I don't know.
I mean, we've seen our technology and our intellect jump quite aggressively in the grand scope of timeline in little bitty sections. And so, to your point, maybe there is kind of like a plant of individuals that just kickstart and push that progression forward. I've always had a weird theory, not even a theory. There's just been like this weird idea inside of me that like it's within our genetic coding that we have like DNA activations. Some
Hmm.
people just activate and that kickstarts that we all kind of have it in our coding, but it's dormant. And some people have different codings, and sometimes that coding just gets kickstarted. And maybe there's a few Elons, but his is the one that got activated for whatever reason.
I like that.
And um and so he's the one that's kind of like it kickstarts, right? And there's not just one. It's not like you are the chosen one. It's just there are all of us carrying different codings, and it just some activate, and that kind of pushes that progression. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. I want to activate my DNA now.
Me too. Let's ring it open.
Let's do it.
I don't know what my talent would be. What am I going to progress us forward as?
Be interesting to find out.
Although if Elon is an alien, I feel like he's trolling us. He's like the one alien that's like, I'm going to help y'all, but I'm also going to troll the fuck out of y'all.
I love it.
Like you can't be that smart and that dumb. I don't know. I just so
He's
I
playing
think he's
kitty
trolling.
chess. Yeah.
He's just trolling us. So yeah, I like your ideas. I love talking to you. You make the wheels in my brain start to go, and then my thoughts are like, ooh, here are all these 50 million pieces you just brought into my realm, and now I'm like, ooh, they all connect in what way? And it's trying to put them all together. So
Likewise. Like I said, I'm super motivated to try the lucid dream thing. I think I'm gonna set my intentions. I'm gonna pick up my dream journal that I used to. That was a really fun thing. When I was lucid dreaming, I was journaling stuff, and it's so crazy because I could read a dream from 5 years ago. And when I start reading that dream journal, it takes me back, and I can remember that dream. Versus me trying to remember a dream from the same day, I'll forget it just a couple hours later. So I'm very
embedded in
inspired.
your memory when you wrote it down.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
I also noticed that when the more creative I am, the more I have like lucid and sleep paralysis. So, like writing, if I'm working on like story, script, poetry, whatever, tapping into that creative brain seems to also make it accessible. So I wonder if the ability to lucid dream is somehow tied to that part of the brain, the creativity part.
Mm-hmm.
John, do you have anything to add?
Aliens.
It's always aliens.
It's always aliens.
Hear me out.
We are the
Yes.
aliens.
Maybe.
We're just activating at different times.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm with Tan. I definitely want to try lucid dreaming more. I know that I used to be really good at it when I was younger. Getting older, I just kind of stopped. And I feel like it's time to get back into
This
it.
is
and
it.
have
This is our
fun.
sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is our sign. We are the dreamers.
I'm really determined to I'm gonna start tonight. I'm gonna set the intention before I bed to say I am gonna have a lucid dream, and I'm gonna work on the dream cues. Right? For me, I really like the counting the finger method or the light switch, but it's been a while, and I gotta finish this book, and I'm pretty determined to become a frequent lucid dreamer.
Yes.
There have been so many stories about people like obviously they could live out their fantasies, and they could even like this one guy had a huge fear for public speaking, so he envisioned an entire audience full of people and he was on stage, and he got over his actual fear because he physically felt what it would be like to present on stage. And just that right there alone is so powerful. So the possibilities are endless. You can eat whatever food you want. You can do whatever you want. You can fly. You can have like the love of your life. You can maybe revisit like a past loved one, or I think it's just a virtual playground. So cool.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Do you believe in past lives?
Oh man, this is a tough one. I don't know. My mother strongly believes in past lives, and it's something that gets mentioned or gets brought up quite a bit. I don't know.
The reason I ask that is because when I've talked to people that can lucid dream, and also on my own experiences, I I've brought it up in the past. Like if I am outrunning something or trying to escape something in a nightmare, I dream jump, which I will literally like physically jump like a rabbit up and over, and sometimes it will be into a completely different dream, or it may be a different
Really?
like yeah
Wow.
aspect of my dream. But what I've always noticed when I do that is I feel it. Like oftentimes we don't necessarily feel sensations in our dreams, but I feel it. Like I feel it in my muscles, like the actual sensation of jumping like a rabbit would. I feel it in my core, like the lift off. Like it is a really real, very real sensation. And it's like, how do I even know what that feels like? Because it doesn't feel like regular jumping, like, oh, I just jumped. Like it feels like actually something else, almost animal like I said, like a rabbit.
Wow.
You mentioned flying and like what that would feel like to fly. And I've talked to people that say they do something in their dream that we as people and humans aren't capable of. We shouldn't know what that feels like, and yet they feel it.
Yeah.
Like they feel exactly in their muscles, almost like it's a muscle memory.
That's exactly what it is.
And so for me, it's like, where does that muscle memory come from? Is it because we shouldn't know, right? We shouldn't know if our dreams are based on life experiences. Our muscles shouldn't have that memory, and yet there it
Mm.
is. It's manifesting. So how do we know?
Oh my gosh, that's so I didn't even think about that. Maybe we truly are experiencing it. Like whenever I was flying, I felt my hair I felt like I was flying. I felt my cheeks just like blowing. I felt the lack of oxygen. Like at one point I was like, "Oh man, like I'm finding it harder to breathe." I remember it being really cold. I just remember all this air going at my face. It felt like 100 miles per hour, and me looking down and feeling that like stomach drop that you do on a roller coaster, and it felt so real. But that is something that is physically impossible. I will never in my life experience this. Yet I felt every bit of it. So maybe I truly did fly. Maybe there is some truth to this astral realm, you
So
know?
maybe in your life you did experience it then. Maybe we've been
Ah.
maybe we've been limiting ourselves that only what we experience in this specific aspect of our reality is real, and anything else is not. And so we're throwing out half of the life experience. And
Oh my gosh, my brain was just like yeah, sometimes you can't read the label from inside the jar. And oh my god, yeah, what if oh man. Ah! What is real?
His brain melted.
Yeah, that was actually a really it was a really good perspective, and it's crazy to think how many other things that are like that we humans just don't even think about, you know? So, thank you for that. Maybe I'm going to look into past lives as well. See what I was up to,
You were flying,
pre-chase. Yeah, I was flying and doing all kinds of stuff.
pre-chasing
Heck
the
yeah.
milk.
I hope so, but probably not. Maybe I was into like something else.
Maybe you were the milk.
There you go.
Oh,
So I'm
damn.
chasing myself. Ooh,
There's something there.
enlightenment. Yeah.
I mean,
3Haunted, blowing minds.
left and right.
Oh
Love it.
yeah.
You've just been chasing yourself this whole time. I think one thing that it's always stood out to me that someone said, or has always resonated with me, is someone said that our human experience, humanity, is just God or the universe dreaming about itself. And
Oh my god. Ah, error.
error.
Right.
Cannot compute.
Dream something better for me, damn it. I'm just
So
joking.
maybe we are all this universe, and we're just little tendrils of the universe, and we're dreaming about itself, and we're trying to get back in. I don't know.
It's so funny having conversations like this where I'm in such deep thought, and then whenever the podcast ends, I'm just gonna go on with my day and eat food and work and just experience normal human whatever this thing is we're experiencing. um I don't know, I don't even know where I was going with that, but it's just it's interesting to I guess look at the dynamic of us talking about our existence and all of this, and then
Existing.
is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. Just existing,
Existing.
pushing through. Sadly.
This is part of it. I think spirituality and like the spiritual movement is phenomenal because people are actually taking a pause to really understand themselves. But in that same token, there is too much. There's like such thing as too much. And if we get so hung up on who are we, why are we, we're forgetting to be. Um,
Very
to
true.
yeah, to just be. So I would say it's not bad. It's not bad to take a pause and talk about this stuff and blow your mind and then go back in, plug back in and be like, all right, time to experience and feel and be and do all those things again.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it goes back to in the beginning when you said you were taking a break from social media just to focus on you. I mean, that's
Mhm.
we've just come full circle. So, yeah.
Do you guys ever get in podcast funks
Oh,
where you're
sure.
like, I don't want to do this
Absolutely.
There are days when we're just like, do we have to? But we push through it.
today?
And it ends up being like one of the better episodes. We're like, oh, that was more fun than I thought it was going to be. All right, cool.
There is energy that you put into when you go in and talk about topics. And if you come into something feeling already depleted, then yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to. And it's not because you don't want to talk to people or you don't want to do something. It's just like, oh, I got to put that energy on. Okay, I
Yeah.
can do it. But then once you get into it, it's like, that was worth it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just got to make that call and say, I'm not doing that. I'm not live streaming. I'm not podcasting. And that's okay. You got to listen to
Right.
yourself.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not feeling it. Take a break or reschedule if we have to. It's not a big deal.
Hmm. Um, I guess I asked because I don't know. Sometimes I kind of like second guess like what I'm doing. To try to like put it in a nutshell, like the whole TikTok thing was, TikTok started as a joke. I downloaded it as a joke, and somewhere down the road I was like, okay, I really have something here. And it was something that I was fully ready to throw everything else away to fully shift my focus on this. And that's what I did. I grinded really hard and built this awesome community, one that I'm very, very grateful for. And I don't know if it's because like something that used to be a passion becomes something that pays your bills. I don't know if that is an element of it, but where I'm getting at is sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And it could just be like a maybe like a midlife thing. Um, this comet is has been something that I'm very interested in, and for a while that's what it was. It was like I would get excited about the stars and moon all the time, and then eventually it was like, no, I don't really. I'm kind of burnt out. So this comet was kind of like the thing I needed to reignite that spark for my love for the passion for Astro. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, I don't know, like how long does this break have to be? I guess is what I'm saying. It's like, could it just be like a week thing where I get back and like, okay, I'm back to grinding. I can do all this stuff. Um, but this break seems like it's been a really long break, and sometimes I'm like, is this me saying I want to venture out and do something else, or like what is it?
Only you know that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel that you would just take as long a break as you need, and if you have to venture out and do something different, do it. You're gonna have people that follow you into whatever that is, and just because they know you from the TikTok, from chasing the milk or whatever, you got people that'll follow you, wherever you go and whatever you do next, and you can always go back if you feel like you want to go back to that and continue that and leave your other thing alone.
Yeah. Sorry for that. I felt like I kind of just turned this into like a whole like shrink thing where I'm just asking for
No.
advice, but I figured it was like you guys are creators, you guys are grinding, and even though we're doing different things in a similar sense, you guys are content creators. Like that's what you do.
You have your internal truth, and your internal truth, I feel like you always know. Sometimes we don't like it, so we're like, I'm not listening to it, or I don't want to know, or I'm not sure. But inside, there really is an automatic truth that we feel in our core. And sometimes it's harder to hear because we layer on like the pressures of, well, that pays the bills, or well, I'm not sure if I'm ready to let that go. Well, ultimately, you know inside if it's run its course for you.
Hmm.
And we are ever changing and ever growing. Like who I was 5 years ago is not who I'm going to be 5 years from now. And some things stay with us for life. There's a passion that will stay with us for life. But then some things were just existing for that moment in time to support us, for us to learn from, and to have that life experience from. So maybe, maybe the streaming or whatever, it could be anything, was in that moment in time exactly what you needed. But now it's
Mm.
no longer what you need. Now you need something different because you have grown or changed in some way. And now you're ready for something different. Or it may just be, I do need that break. I need to figure out what is my step. Because maybe it is you're in that kind of transition phase. I don't know. But I think that like the nice thing is that you don't have to make any abrupt decision that you're not ready to make. You can take as long as you need and want. And like John said, you have a big following. They're going to follow you regardless. And so even if it's like, I've been gone for 6 months or a year, you come back in, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's 10. We love you. But it's just remembering that like you're doing it for you. So the pressure that like, well, I have to create for these people, or they're waiting for me, they're XYZ, like it's cool that you care, but ultimately it doesn't matter. What matters is where you, what supports you, and what is going to be good for you.
That was probably the best advice I've ever heard in my entire life. And I feel like I really needed to hear that. So truly, thank you.
You want me to cut that out? I will.
No, I
Everything happens for a reason, so that's just how I feel about it.
yeah, it's so interesting how something so simple as just some audio waves from one exchange to another could have such an impact on like a human being. But yeah, that's kind of like what I was really struggling with, and I know it sounds crazy, but just that right there really helped. Um, so yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course.
it.
Happy to help if I can.
Yeah,
But
you're just very articulate with your words, and you just had that message out very clearly. So
thank you.
it was easy for me to understand.
Oh my gosh, Chan, I'm so happy that you came on today. And I adore
Likewise,
you. Your vibe is always phenomenal. You always have such thoughtful things to say that I never want the conversation to end. But it has to, but I don't want it to. So yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
thank you for having me. I'm super honored, very grateful, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Me too. All right, John Thomas, you want to
Heck
bring us
yeah.
home?
No, just kidding. I want to live in space forever, forever, forever.
Maybe home is space.
Maybe.
Bring
So,
us home. E.T. phone home.
yes.
Phone us home.
All right. Thank you again, Tan. Like Ashley said, always a pleasure to have you on. I'm looking forward to the next time and hopefully this trip because that would be freaking amazing.
Hell
And
yeah.
thank you to all of our listeners for listening to this episode of 3Haunted Podcast with your host. I'm John Thomas.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
And if you have any questions, comments, or episode suggestions, please feel free to email us at 300podcast@gmail.com. If you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe. Check out our website, 300podcast.com, because you don't want to miss another amazing moment or guest.
Until next time.